Your love, your I wish somebody would talk like your trust. You're the best
Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 1 2. All right, so y'all can sit up here in these front rows.
Personality crisis.
All right, y'all come ahead over here. Should these front 2 rows, please. Y'all come sit in the front 2 rows. Do not sit in the back row. Sit in the front 2 rows. Y'all come up here and sit in the front 2 rows. What's up? Basketball night, Sapphire. I don't know what sport it is. I don't know if the girls or the boys, how they're doing, so y'all can find out.
Who are they playing?
Girls are playing St. Joe, and the boys are playing Long Beach Harbor. At least I believe the girls are playing St. Joe. Hey, out there in Zoom land, can you hear me? No. Can y'all hear me on Zoom?
Yes.
Somebody said no in here.
I said yes.
I know, but your husband said no.
Well, he's not on Zoom though.
Don't touch. That messes me up. I just need to meet her. All right. No, I don't think I have business tonight. He said I need to meet you. So.
To meet me?
He said I needed to mute you on Zoom. Now he's messing.
That's not nice.
Noah and Emery, are you there? Why are you there? Why are you not here? No, he was there. Is he still there? He was the first one looking. Emery, why are you not here? You should be here. Lexi and Allison are missing you so much. They looked really, they just looked at the camera and they had that sad sort of look, you know. Yeah, it's like, if y'all look at her, let her see how sad y'all are that she's not Anyway, y'all are being missed. Emery, can you hear me, Emery? Are you paying attention? Are you listening? That's a no. Glad you guys are here. Crystal's on there. Crystal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but you're a little crackly here and there.
I'm a little crackly. Does that make it better? Is that better?
I mean, you're understandable, so I wouldn't worry with it any further. I'll say something if we can't hear you at all.
Okay. If I move it closer, is that better?
You're fine, I'd say. Just keep going.
All right. I'm supposed to have a new chord at any given point today, or this week, I should say. All right. We're gonna just a little bit different night because it's basketball night, tournament time, and so we're gonna mix things up just a little bit. Youth Discipleship, of course, is back. We'll be back, and I'll make sure I have drinks. We kind of scraped the bottom of the barrel Sunday because I forgot to get drinks and with the weather and everything. But those will be Sunday nights at 7. Our IGDevo is weekly. You find it on Instagram. You can watch it now. You can, not now because you're here, but when you go home, you can watch it. Get caught up. It's good stuff. If you are not part of the Bible group Devo and you want to be, scan that QR code. If you have a QR, you should have like a code. I know like on Android phones, it's automatic. But if you don't have it and you want to join, you can either text me, or if you don't have like a QR code, you can text me and I will send you the invite. We got a bunch that have joined, and it's great. So I love it. All right. And then camp. Let's talk camp. Camp is coming up. It'll be in June. Starting in June, we'll have youth camp, which is with Ryan Scanlon as the speaker. Worship. I don't know who worship is. I haven't heard anything. But did y'all like the winter camp worship? Did y'all like that band? It was like former staffers and stuff. It was the studs and a couple others. I can't remember their names. But anyway, that's the price. You can register at coldspringsretreat.com/summer-camp. And you can register that way. I would encourage you to register, but don't pay just yet. Just simply because don't know how it is. And if it, things could change. Right now, though, the big thing is just to get you registered. Cold Springs, like I said before, like they're capping it like at 50% of capacity. And so once they reach that, and this is where I was kind of confused. I need to get clarification. I think at most we can have at one time is 185. So if you 50% that's like 92 people. Okay. So you want to make sure if you're wanting to go, you need to sign up. And like I said, you can probably hold off on paying for a while just to make sure that you don't want to pay and then all of a sudden camp gets canceled. You have to deal with the issue of getting a refund or whatever. So, but that's youth camp. And then middle school camp, which will be those that completed 6th grade to 7th grade. And so if you're in 7th grade and you want to go to middle school camp one more year, you can. Kingdom Wallace is the speaker. He's really good. That's in July. And so I just want to encourage you guys to sign up for camp. That's the plan for us to go. I'm looking forward to camp. I was watching a trailer for a musical that's going to debut on Netflix in March. And it's a musical about church camp. And so I was like, oh man, makes me miss the days of church camp. So it's been like a long time since we've been at church camp. I mean, not the musical. I don't think, especially the boys, we didn't break into song and dance in our lodge or anything like that. We try to have fight night, but that didn't work. Yeah. So maybe y'all can handle the arm wrestling challenge to get to do that. Anyway. No, none of y'all stood a chance against Barry. Barry has arms the size of half of this podium right here. Massive logs of hands and arms. Anyway, but we're talking about free people. We're not talking about Barry's arms. I also tell him, I said that we talked about your arms, Barry. He'd be like, oh, that's awkward.
Well, that'd be-
Anyway. Oh, that's pretty much, the dude's been working out. He's pretty
Yeah.
jacked right here, I'm just saying.
Whatever.
So, I mean, I can take him,
He needs to shave
but you
his
know.
mustache.
He can't decide what he wants to do with his mustache. He keeps changing
I'll
it
tell you
every
what he
time.
needs to do is grow a full beard. That's what he needs to do. Join the beard game.
He's not man enough. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'm about to, he'll be like, oh, thanks for talking about me. But hey, we're gonna play a game and it's called the Goatist. All right. You're gonna try to figure out,
I want to know why
Okay.
you put LeBron James in there.
because some people call him the
Well,
goat.
he's the direct opposite.
Where's my?
I think he's a sheep, but you know, some people call him the
The
goat.
sheep among
All right, so here it is. This is what you're gonna do. Is it one of the greatest athletes of all time or just a regular old goat?
I have a question. Can you go back?
You decide. Why?
Okay, that's Tom Brady on the right side, right?
Yeah, that's Tom
All
Brady.
right, you can continue.
Okay. Bottom right, I think is Serena Williams
Yeah, no.
or
Yeah, that's
Beyonce.
her.
I don't know.
No, it's definitely her, but she's not a goat. I'm just saying.
I didn't make this. Anyway, it's pretty funny.
There's two actual goats in it, that's it.
And I'm just gonna give you some heads up. There is no logic to the answers of this game, okay?
Well, then I don't want to play.
You just gotta figure it out. All right, here it is. First one. Is that
It's definitely a go.
the greatest of all time or a
That's
goat?
just a regular goat.
What do you think?
I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Tom Brady, if
So-
it's you, I'm sorry.
All right.
I love you, Tom Brady.
What do y'all think over here? Greatest of all time or a goat? What about y'all on Zoom? Greatest of all time or a goat?
I think that's
I don't know, but that.
All right, here it is. Guess what? Greatest of all
I
time.
told you it was
Yeah.
go.
Five-time NBA champion, 25 points, 5.2 rebounds, 4.7 assists, 1,346 regular season
These
games.
are all averages, by the way.
He's the GOAT. Those are his averages, yes. He's the GOAT. Yeah.
He's a go.
Yeah, I said it. The GOAT. I'm saying, this game makes no sense, but it's funny up there, so. All right, what about this one?
Make fun of LeBron, I love it.
Is it the greatest of all time or a GOAT? Now, here's a hint.
It's a football, it's,
Here's a possible hint, it's a football field.
if it's not Tom Brady, then I don't want to play anymore.
All right, are you ready? Here's the answer. What do you think? Greatest of all time or a GOAT?
I see the goat here. so-
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. Guess what? It's just a GOAT. Just bah it. Anyway, all right, what about this one? Once again,
That's Tom Brady.
here's a hint. Football, stadium lights.
That's Tom Brady.
You think it's Tom Brady?
I know it's Tom
It's
Brady.
a go.
If that's Joe Montana, I'm gonna flip my lid. It's gotta be Tom Brady.
Well, prepare to have your lid flipped
It's not Joe.
at some point. What do you guys think? I don't know what the answer is.
It's another go.
Tom Brady. That's
You think it's the greatest of all time? Guess what? It is the greatest of all time.
yeah, it sure is.
I mean, 7-time Super Bowl champion. I think this is old, so I think you can do one more. 5-time Super Bowl MVP, 3 times NFL MVP, passing completion 6,778, started 353 games and cheated in most of them. I said it.
He literally didn't. Okay. Whether he cheated or not, whether he cheated or not, he still whooped the dog out of most of
Um, all I can say is he can't win against Eli Manning in the Super Bowl and Nick Foles. He may be the GOAT, but Nick Foles threw for a touchdown and caught. Anyway, sorry. All right, here we go. GOAT or greatest of all time?
Just to go.
GOAT?
Michael,
How many of you say GOAT?
it looks like
It's a good
a
track,
swimming
like a,
pool.
no, it looks like a track and field.
Oh, yeah.
Well-
You're right.
Yeah, he was actually
I
right.
was right.
So, most decorated Olympian of all time, 23 gold medals, 3 silver, 2 bronze, Michael Phelps. He's the GOAT of the swimming area. All right, what about this? GOAT or the greatest of all time?
That's a go, man.
Come on.
It's just a go.
It's a stadium, it's a stadium full of people. Y'all say GOAT?
Yeah.
Guess what? Goat. I eat trash. Must be LeBron. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a sick burn on LeBron. It was good
We
though.
only burn LeBron.
All right, what about this one? Goat or no goat?
So now this
Track.
is a track.
Usain Bolt.
You think it's Usain Bolt? Oh my gosh! If Usain Bolt was a go back to basics, I'm telling you, there's no logic in this game. This makes it so fun. Like I started laughing at this game. It was funny. All right, what about this one? Goat or no goat? It looks like a checkerboard. Of course, you know the background's not a whole lot of help. There is no people on there, so maybe that's the thing. What do y'all think?
Who's the greatest checkers or chess player of all time?
I don't know.
Well, whoever it is, that's
No.
It's probably just another guy.
How many of y'all say goat?
just a go.
How many of y'all say greatest of all time? All right. If you said Judith Polar, the Hungarian chess grandmaster,
Nobody,
rating is
nobody
273.5.
cares.
Don't even know what that means.
Nobody cares.
Defeated 11 champions, achieved grandmaster at age 15.
Whoa.
Wow,
That's
do
pretty
something with your
impressive.
life.
I mean, come on, 15. She is big brained. All right, what about this one? Goat or no goat? There, it looks like a half pipe.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, definitely. Tony Hawk.
Think so?
Or maybe it's just.
Think so. All right, what do y'all think? Goat or no goat? Tony Hawk? Think so? Yeah.
It's Tony Hawk.
Well, it's not. It's a goat. Back side, 180 degrees. Oh, come on, these goats got jokes. These goats got jokes. All right, what about this one? Goat or no goat? Or goat or greatest of all time, I should say.
Serena Williams.
There's a
That's
tennis.
Miss on the precious mark.
Looks like a. Looks like yeah. You think he looks like Serena? It's a black square. Well, all right. Guess what? You are correct. Well done. Well done. Serena Williams, 92 career WTA Women's Tennis Association Finals, 73 wins, 22 career Grand Slams, singles titles, 102 ace record. That is really good. That's really good. All right. What about this? Right here. What about this one right here?
That's just a couple goats.
Could be. Oh, that's a volleyball net. There's the ocean.
Oh, I like watching.
Oh, I don't go. This volleyball have to go. What do y'all think?
If there's a chess goat, there's gotta be a volleyball.
There's got to be a volleyball go. That's what I'm thinking. What do y'all think?
I'm thinking just go.
I'm thinking just go. But I mean, there's two of them. It could be the doubles like goats of all
I
time.
like watching the women's beach volleyball.
All right, well, guess what? They're goats.
I knew it.
Goat recognized goat. I am also a goat. Look at that. There you go. This is pretty funny. I don't know this one. Goat or no goat? That's a ball field.
That's Yadier Molina.
You think so?
Yeah, guaranteed.
What do y'all think? Who'd you say it was?
Yadier Molina.
Well, if it's a greatest of all time and it's Yadier Molina, you will be
Probably your favorite.
the GOAT. But you're wrong. It's Mike Trout. Okay.
No.
It is Mike Trout. Yep. Mike Trout. I mean, come on. This
Good.
8-time MLB All-Star, 3-time American League MVP,
But he's not.
the Millville Meteor, and 7-time Silver Slugger Award winner. I mean, come on. Come on.
He's not even that good.
All right. Well, here's the final
I
round
mean,
for
the
the
last time the
GOAT.
Angels won anything.
The final. I mean, it's been like a couple of years.
Never. They never won anything.
They won a World Series not that long ago.
It's been long.
Like
I
2
can-
years.
No, it's been much more than 2 years.
Okay, 3.
No.
Yeah,
You can
well-
go further back. You can go ahead and
No.
go further back.
We'll have to look at it. We'll talk about it later. All right. What about this one?
Don't allow
GOAT or no GOAT? I mean, think about the logic. If there's a GOAT chess player, do what? You think it's greatest of all time? What do y'all think? It'll be somebody.
It's gotta be a dude.
Things to do. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Greatest of all time. greatest of all time, Mr. Wayne Gretzky, the great one, 92 goals in a season, 2,857 career points, 51 game scoring streak. That means he scored in every, 51 games, every game he scored.
Miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah, that's right. Wayne Gretzky, quoted by Michael Scott. Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, all right. Well, that was the Goatist. Well done. Well done. Hope you enjoyed that game. That game was pretty funny. I liked it. So, my favorite was the Goats. Goat recognized Goat. Anyway, so we've been talking about free people. We've been talking about what does it look like for us as believers to be free, and we talk about how the core is to follow the right rules. And the right rule for us is to what is the big rule for us as Christians? What are we to love?
Love God.
Love God.
Yeah.
Love people, right? Love God, love people, right? Those are the two big things. And we talked last week about danger and how a lot of times we think we kind of ask ourselves how far is too far, when we really need to ask ourselves is how can I stay away from danger? Because when we think about stuff, when we think about when we think about things that look greener on the other side, we fail to see that we think, because we look and we see how great it is. We're like, oh my gosh, it's so great over there. I'm so tired of following these rules. Why can't I just do what I want? And usually what happens when we try to do what we want, it ends up we have very little freedom because we have to deal with the consequences of that. And so there's real freedom in following after God. And last week that's what we talked about. Well, and this week we're gonna kind of continue talking about that. About what does it mean for us as believers to love God and to love others, and how does that look like in our lives? So before we go any further, we're going to have a time of prayer, and then we are going to dig into it. Father God, thank you so much for just letting us be here. Thank you so much for just being a God who loves us, Father. Lord, I pray that you be with those that are not able to be here. I pray that you be with those that are at home, doing things that they have got to do. That's the reason why they can't be here. Pray that you be with the basketball teams as they play tonight. Keep them safe, Lord. Father, I pray that you be with us in our time of spending just time with you. And that's in your name I pray. Amen. All right, let me ask you this. What do you think about when you think about following rules? What do you think about? What do y'all think about? When you think about following rules, what do you think about? Not following rules? You think of not following rules when you think of following rules, okay? What do you guys think about when you think about when you think about rules, what do you think about? What comes to your mind? School, what else comes to your mind? Parents, work, family. What about zombies?
There's no rules.
What? Does that sound weird to think about zombies when you think about rules? Okay. I love how you shook her head. I appreciate it. That was a weird look.
I don't think that's all. Yeah.
All right, well, just hear me out. Okay, hear me out. All right. Just, okay. Remember when zombies were super popular? Y'all remember that? When they were super, think about Walking Dead, Plants vs. Zombies, there's zombie stuff, all sorts of zombie things everywhere, right? Movies, television, comic books, walking around your neighborhood on Halloween, there's always somebody, probably even say, who do you know anybody dressed up as a zombie for Halloween this year? Y'all remember?
Nope.
No?
I didn't even dress up.
Did not partake in Halloween? Okay, well, there's usually somebody that's dressed up as a zombie. And I don't know how you feel about zombies. I used to be, kind of scared about scary movies, but, because it's not just a zombie thing, but the way everyone immediately seems to turn against each other. Like, you ever watch like any sort of end of the world movie? What usually happens? Like, everybody starts to fight for themselves, right? Like, have y'all seen that movie, A Quiet Place? Okay, like, you see like how the world has kind of crashed in on itself, and because of an alien invasion, or, you know, for instance, how many of you have seen The Walking Dead? How many of you have watched one?
I
Okay.
watched a little.
Okay, it's not like it's the US government that's watching. Everybody's kind of fending for themselves. They're setting up their own rule of government, you know? Survival of the fittest, right? And that's kind of how it is, you know, as soon as like the zombies show up or whatever, civilization collapses, rules and laws disappear, suddenly it's kind of like everyone for themselves. You know, exactly, back to our nature, focusing on ourselves, it's all about me. And for the last couple of weeks, like I said, we've been talking about how there are some rules that we might really hate to follow, but at the same time, some rules are necessary. You know, the people in your favorite zombie story, if you have a favorite one, might technically be free of the laws and rules they used to live by, but that way of life isn't freedom. Especially now when everyone is against each other and kind of looking out for themselves. Let me ask you this. If you were king or queen for a day, what would you do?
What?
If you were king or queen for a day, what would you do? Like, what rules would you want to make or break right away? What would you do? Mask roll. You're ready to mask roll, okay? All right. What else? If you're king or queen, well, if you were king for a day, because you're sitting here going, all right, so Will, if you were king for a day, which rules would you break or which rules would you make?
I do a lot of things, but I don't know. You really want me to say it?
Well, I'm asking, is it, you know, it's not something that you're gonna get in trouble or grounded for,
Nah.
okay.
I'd want to start a real life Rocket League tournament with forklifts.
A real life Rocket League tournament with forklifts, yes, okay, all right.
And I'd make an executive.
Take prerequisite courses out of college, all right?
I'd make an executive order.
What?
To be able to speed up production of PS5s too.
So, Rocket League with forklifts and speed up production of the PS5. There you go. All right, Ethan, I gotta know, if you were king or queen for a day, what would you, well, king, because you wouldn't be a queen, that's awkward. If you were king for a day, what would you do? Which rules would you follow, which rules would you break?
I would make a rule where you can't be gay, because I hate seeing that over and over.
Okay. Right, well, that was unexpected. Okay, I mean, well, that's, okay, so you would make it illegal. All right, you would make it illegal, okay? All right, Brayden, what about you? If you were king for a day, what would you do? You have no idea. You give all your money. All right, Chris. You get rid of masks. You ban abortion. Okay, all right. Y'all are thinking on a different, like, I was thinking that question. I thought like, yeah, I was thinking I would just like make it mandatory that everybody gets to have pizza every day if they want it. You know, that's what I was thinking, like pizza. You know, all right, these are good. All right, what about you girls? If you were queen for a day, what would you do?
Endless credit card.
Do what?
Endless credit card.
Endless credit cards. Yes. And you would quit, so you wouldn't have to worry about the debt. I guess everybody else would have to worry about it, but you wouldn't, because that's good. All right. Lexi, what about you? Would you make it softball season all year long?
Oh, too cold.
It just depends. You can build indoor
Your fingers
facilities.
break when it's very cold.
That's true. We don't go from. Okay. All right, what about, you already said. You already said, right? What about the adults back here? What about you?
I have another one.
You have another one.
I would pay kids to go to school.
Pay kids to go to school.
You gonna be like-
Oh, no, I have a better one.
Make it mandatory.
All right, got another one. All right, we're-
Ban school for people that don't want to go.
ban people for
Yeah.
school,
Yes.
ban people that don't want
If
to.
you don't want to go to school, then you don't have to.
Okay, because I was kind of thinking, okay, oh, you don't want to go to school, guess what? You're banned from going to school. Thank you, that sounds like exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
point.
okay. Wow, I'm glad y'all are now in charge. Because some of those things are good, and some of those things are stupid.
Make them teach people how to think instead of what to think.
Okay, all right. All right, well, you know, would it be fun to be king or queen?
No.
Depends.
It might, yeah, it might, in some instances, especially like if you get all these benefits and stuff, right? But, you know, you could fill your calendars with things that you like to do, that would be fun. You could cancel classes at school that you don't like, okay? Oh, what about, y'all, if y'all were king, or if y'all were queen, for, what would you do? What rules would you make? What rules would you?
I have to agree with Chris.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree with that too. Do it. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, what would you do, Kate?
Already
Common sense, like.
Yeah.
And if.
As if you got
Common
some.
sense, there would have to be.
You need to
like
stop.
A school where people teach you common sense. like-
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right, wow. Man, this is taking such an interesting turn. All right, what about you guys in Zoom? What about y'all in Zoom? If you were king or queen for a day, which rules would you break? Which rules would you follow? Those of you on Zoom.
Tell you what, I'd break the rule where you speak 21 by weapons and ammo.
What, Doug?
He said he thinks you have the greatest ideas, is what he would say. If you were queen, what rules would you make or what rules would you break?
I would just want to do whatever I wanted to.
Okay,
There's not one specific thing.
all
One
right.
thing is I would make a rule where I had to have somebody like clean my house and cook for me.
That's a good rule. That's a good rule. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. Anybody else on Zoom want to answer that question? If you were king or queen for a day, what would you do? Let's see, is Emery still on there? All right. Crystal, if you were a queen for a day, what would you do?
I think having somebody to clean the house and do cooking would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be very nice. No, Somebody's got to sleep in a house tonight. Between you and me, Doug, I want it to be me to sleep in a house tonight.
Going back to the whole time.
I'm just saying. If that, I'm getting out where I'm going, but anyway. Yeah, that would be nice. You know, if I was like king, I would make it like to where like there were just every day would be like every week you would have a 3-day weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, okay? And I would make it to where there's no basketball games or any sort of sport activities on Sundays or Wednesdays. That's what I would do. So that way I could see your faces. I'm just saying. I would make everybody be a Superman fan because Superman's the best.
You're about to get
And
another
stop right now. So I'm not a communist. I just believe everybody should do exactly what I tell them to do.
Hey, let's
No.
You know Brother Terry Simpson? Or you heard
Yeah,
of him?
I know Terry. Yeah.
Well, he at church or whatever, he like during his preaching, he ripped open his shirt and had his Superman.
Oh.
He's a Superman fan.
He is. And he wears his shirts better than I wear mine. It's the same, you know. Anyway.
Substitutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I have those too, but you know, it does sound like really neat. Like I said, if you could be, you know, it might be like, you know, I'd make everybody get to have their own Sunday every night, you know, whatever it is, or you know, pass laws that make your life more fun, more happy, more convenient. And a lot of times that's what we tend to think about. You know, that's what a lot of times we think about. What's in it for me? Going back to that idea of fending for yourself. There's this movie called Click. You know, you might have seen it. It's a movie with Adam Sandler, and he somehow gets his hands on this remote control that can control his whole life. And it seems like it would be awesome to get to do something like that, to have that kind of power. But think about that. Well, you know, think about that idea of like, if you could just fast forward, you know, you would end up actually missing a whole lot. And he starts to realize this. He starts to realize how much he's missing out because he's focusing so much on himself. And I mean, it leads to a lot of problems. I mean, you know, what if you weren't the person in control? What if someone else had the power? You know, they'd want to do whatever they wanted. You might think it might be great to be able to have that thing of doing whatever you want, but think about that. What if somebody else had that and they had that control over you? And their wants would probably be different from yours. Or what if there were more than one remote? Like, you know, what if there was multiple remotes? You might want to cancel math class, only study history, and while they might want all-day gym class. You'd make a law telling everyone to pay you $1 a day for being awesome, but they want $1 to go to them instead. I mean, where would it stop? I mean, think about that. Where would it stop? Because I think if we're honest, at some point we all had these kind of thinkings like, what if I was in charge? What if if I was president, or if I was whatever, this is what I would do. We all want freedom to do our own thing, but if everyone wants different things, how do we decide who gets what they want? You know, and a lot of times we when we get any sort of power, we kind of let that go to our head, and it kind of can be a bad thing. You know, it's not an easy balance. You know, it's the balance between what we want and what others want. That is not an easy thing to deal with. You know, because, well, you know, if we're honest, we tend to be selfish. We tend to focus on ourselves. Sometimes we're not sure how to compromise, and most of the time we don't even want to. Like, I remember I used to work at McDonald's when I was in high school, and I worked there, and I actually worked there for a long time. And but like I wanted, one of the things I wanted to be is I wanted to be like somebody that was in charge, and I wanted to. McDonald's, they had this position called crew chief, and I want to be a crew chief. It's like the crew chief, you got paid more, and you got to tell people what to do, and you got to show them how to do it. You got to be kind of a teacher, and you were a leader. Things are expected of you. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. And so I worked, and I got promoted to that finally. I had to fight for it. And I remember I would get so arrogant and so focused on, you will listen to me and do what I say, and you will do it this way exactly, that it became a problem. And I actually got removed from it. And that was kind of a hard thing to deal with. I think there's something that happens when we get to that sort of idea and mentality in our lives. When we think about it's all about you will do what I say no matter what. That's not how it should be. Especially as a believer, we shouldn't be that way. And think about this. When was the last time you disagreed with someone about a decision that needed to be made? Have you ever disagreed with somebody about a decision that needed to be made?
You know, like where to go eat. I want to go eat at Amigo Locos. Well, I want to go eat at Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake is trash. I don't care. I like it. You know, you ever have those sorts of conversations? You ever have like arguments over like, you know, no, I wanted to do it this way, or if you, especially if you're playing like Minecraft or doing something like that to where you got to build something together, or League of Legends where you're working something, and somebody wants to do it this way and you want to do it that way, and you fight over it, what usually ends up happening?
Lose the fight.
Yeah.
Because Dalen refused to leave Laney.
Okay. Or like think about this with like basketball. Let's say, for instance, you know, your coach is trying to tell the team to do it this way, but somebody on your team is saying, no, I'm going to play it like this. I'm going to do it this way. What happens in that sort of moment? Chances are what happens is you fail. You don't win. Or the thing about in terms of band, or, you know, what if like, Chris, what if you want to run your way and your coach is saying, no, I need you to run this way? What's going to end up happening? You get punished with sprints, right? But your coach kind of has a knowledge and a wisdom about how you should be running. But if you want to run the way you think you could run a risk of injuring yourself, right? What about with like band? You know, you could, you know, if you want to play a song this way, but your band instructor saying, no, it's got to be played this way, but you don't listen to that, you do it your own way, what's going to happen with the song?
It's gonna be crap in the band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing that happens is that when we focus on ourselves, and that's really the kind of the heart of tonight, is when we focus on ourselves, that leads to problems. In Matthew chapter 12, Matthew 18, beginning in verse 21, this is what it says. Then Peter approached him and asked, Lord, how many times must I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? As many as 7 times? And I tell you, not as many as 7, Jesus replied, but 70 times 7. For this reason, the kingdom of, I lost my place. For this reason, the kingdom of heaven can be compared to a king who wanted to settle accounts with the servants. When he began to settle accounts, one who owed 10,000 was brought before him, and since he did not have the money to pay it back, his master commanded that he, his wife, his children, and everything he had be sold to pay the debt. And at this, the servant fell face down before him and said, be patient with me, and I will pay you everything. Then the master of the servant then the master of that servant had compassion, released him, and forgave him the loan. That servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii, and he grabbed him, started choking him, and said, pay what you owe. This guy's a little bit of a punk. He grabbed him and started choking him, and like I said, and pay what you owe. And at this, his fellow servant fell down and began begging him, be patient with me, I will pay you back. But he wasn't willing. Instead, he went and threw him into prison until he could be paid what was owed. And when the other servants saw what had taken place, they were deeply distressed and went and reported to their master everything that had happened. And then after he had summoned him, his master said to him, you wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Shouldn't you also have had mercy on your fellow servant as I had mercy on you? Because he was angry, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he could be paid everything that was owed. So also my heavenly Father will do to you unless every one of you forgives his brother or sister from your heart. And according to Jesus in this passage that he was saying, following God comes really down to this, and he kind of illustrates what it looks like when we don't do this. Jesus says that, you know, it comes to loving God and loving others as you love yourself, and that's what the greatest commandment is. And we see what happens when we focus on ourselves. In this story, we had this one servant who had this massive amount owed, begs, and he gets forgiven of it. He gets a second chance. And instead of showing that to others, what does the guy do to the second beggar, to this one that owed like a little? Does he forgive him, or does he demand that he pay him? Throws him in jail. Demands, chokes him. The guy was not a very nice guy. He had just been given this, but he does not reflect that. And that's the thing, when we focus on ourselves, we're not reflecting who God is. Now, for the last couple of weeks, I've been showing you an image of this dude, James. This is James. Say hi, James. He's a man of few words, you know. Look at this dude. But anyway, so he was the brother of Jesus. He was the leader of the Jerusalem church. And during the early years of the Jesus movement, and during that time, he wrote a letter to the early followers of Jesus that you can find in the book of what we call James. And it's what we've been looking at for the past several weeks. He wasn't a king, but he was a powerful person. He was a leader in the early church. He was one of the ones that they went to for wisdom and advice. He had the authority to be able to say and to tell and to, make a decision. In fact, like Brother Steve said, either last Sunday or Sunday before, he was known as James the Just. He was known as being a just person. In Acts 15, or excuse me, in the book of Acts, we have this story that happens. Acts is about the birth of the early church and how the church starts off in Jerusalem with the disciples and how it grows throughout the whole world at that time. And as things happen, like think about this. You ever notice there's just one day like maybe your feet hurt or your legs hurt or just something for no reason you just hurt. You ever felt that? It's called growing pains, right? And that happens with growth, is that as your body grows, as your body continues to develop as it's supposed to, you have pain. And for whatever reason, you just have pain in your legs, or you might have pain in your feet, or, you just might be in pain for whatever reason. Well, the same is true with the early church. The early church began to grow massively, like thousands of people were starting to be a part of the church. Well, as things happen, with growth comes some issues that they had to deal with. In Acts 15, we've got this one issue that comes up in the church. Most of the first followers of Jesus were Jewish people who believed that Jesus was the Messiah God had promised, but not everyone who followed Jesus was from a Jewish background. Some were Gentiles. And so some of these early Jesus followers believed everyone needed to convert to Judaism, which is what the Jew believed, in order to follow Jesus. And conversion wasn't an easy process. There were things you had to go through. There are painful things you had to go through. Early Jesus followers believed the only thing anyone needed to do was to follow Jesus and to trust and commit to following him. And so you have these two ideas and they start to clash against each other. And so James, this guy right here, he listens carefully to all the perspectives and he makes this decision that no one should be forced to go through lots of difficult steps in order to follow Jesus. And did that decision make James uncomfortable? Well, it might have made him uncomfortable. Would have been easier for James to tell everyone that they had to become Jewish, because after all, James was Jewish, and it could have been easier for him to say that. He grew up Jewish, he followed Jewish law, so it would have been uncomfortable for him to tell others to do what he did. And Jesus, he was a Jewish person, and he followed Jewish laws and customs as well. But James, he took this different approach. And he understood that his decision wouldn't impact God's love for him, and he was free to do whatever he wanted to do. But James was also committed to following Jesus' law of love. And he knew that the most loving thing he could do was to make it easy for others to follow Jesus. And he decided his comfort was not as important as loving others. And so this is what he says in James chapter 2, verses 12 through 13. It says, "Speak and act as those who are to be judged by the law of freedom. For judgment without mercy to the one who has not shown mercy. Mercy triumphs over judgment." So think about this. The law gives freedom, he says. God's law, the law of love, gives us freedom. We're free to make the decisions that benefit us and give us what we want. If that's what we want, God's not going to stop us or love us any less. But the other thing about this is that we're to prepare for judgment. God's law of love gives us freedom, but we're still called to speak and act out in love. And this is the thing we're going to be judged on. Not only that the law gives freedom, or that we got to prepare with judgment, but it's also that there will be no mercy for the unmerciful. James isn't threatening us. He's kind of reminding us that justice is a way of coming back around. You know, what goes around comes around. You all ever heard that, right? But God is merciful to the merciful. When we're compassionate, forgiving, and gracious to each other, God sees that, and God understands that, and God gets that. You can say that we have freedom to treat people however we like. You might be right in the sense, yeah, you do have the freedom to treat people however you like to treat them. But when we live in a way that prioritizes our wants and comforts at the expense of others, we're not really free, because you're caught up in the prison of yourself. You see, that's why Jesus told us the most important thing that we can do besides loving God was to love others. To love others like we love ourselves. That's why the book of James tells us to show mercy to others instead of judgment. Because we'll never live freely as long as we're living for ourselves. And that's the big thing tonight. That's the big takeaway. Is that free people make decisions that benefit others. And there's such a great freedom found when we choose to live in a way to benefit others. Through our words, through our actions, through how we respond. Now, it's not easy. You know, people will make fun of you. People will tear into you. People will be ugly to you. People will hate you in a lot of ways because you're choosing to do what is right. You're choosing not to focus on yourself. But there is such a massive benefit. Think about the people in your life that have helped you do things, that have helped you, that have taught you things. Think about like people, your teachers, how they have stepped out of their comfort zone, how they've stepped and started to focus. They focus on you. I can tell you, because I used to teach for 10 years, it is not easy to do that. There were moments when I was like, I really don't want to hang out with this class. But I knew that, you know, but I did it because I knew that they needed somebody in their life to help them. They needed somebody in their life to teach them this thing. They needed somebody, you know, what's going to happen? They're not going to learn it, and then it's going to be a problem. You know, so your teachers, they have a hard task. You might not realize it, and they may not act like it, but they care about you. They're putting you first in a lot of ways ahead of themselves. Now, I do know that there are teachers out there that are just not great teachers, okay? But that is few and far between. Think about in terms of like, you know, your friends and how they love you and they care about you and how you love and care about them. What if you treated that one kid at school that nobody likes the way you treat your friends? And all it requires is for you to love them as you love yourself. And there is such great freedom found in that. And thanks to Jesus, we have the freedom. But we'll never live freely as long as we're only living for ourselves. Free people make decisions that benefit others. Let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for just our time of conversation together, Father. Thank you for just allowing us to spend some time in the Word. Father, there's such great freedom in following after you. And a lot of times we fail to see that because we're human and we focus on ourselves. And Father, I pray that in those moments when we are tempted to focus on ourselves, may you lovingly remind us of how you love those that are showing mercy, how you love it when we are merciful to those around us. You love it when we put others first, not so that way we can be a rug for people to walk on, but that way we can be a reflection of you in their lives. Father, I pray that we do that. I pray that we live as free people that seek to benefit others, that seek for others to come to know you as we love them the way that you love us and as you call us to love them. To your name I pray. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on Zoom. We'll be back here live in person for Sunday school at 10 a.m. and discipleship training 7 o'clock.
2002. Last time the Angels won a World Series, and the only time was 2002.
Oh, I was thinking Dodgers.
Dodgers got it. Yeah, whatever.
I was thinking of the Dodgers.
I was about to say, that's why I was like, I can't remember the last time that the Angels were good at anything, whether they had Mike Trout or not.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That'd be great. Thank you. Y'all are free to